now's a time when things are shifting. There's going to be a new world order out there.
My fellow Americans, I've said on several occasions that I wouldn't comment about the recent congressional hearings on the Iran-Contra matter.
All right. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the What is Truth podcast. I'm your host, Wheezy. I'm joined by my man. This is not John Brisson. This is Mr. Billy Ray Valentine. John just texted me. He'll be on very shortly. So as we wait his arrival, we'll shoot the breeze. Want to welcome George, Colleen, Frankie, Ashley, all in the live chat. Marion G of G's. Hell yeah. Thank you guys for coming out, and everyone that will tune in throughout the week. Hope everyone's been doing good. It's at some point I'll go into it a little bit more detail, but I had some may say miraculous, some may say magical turn of events. And so for those wondering if I've been good or whatever, I want to thank everyone that had me in their thoughts. I got a lot of emails throughout the week from all over the world, a lot of messages on the comments, and thank you guys. It means a lot to me. No, we don't know each other face to face. We're just strangers, but it's awesome to know that throughout the world, there's people out there that care about you. So I want to thank everyone that reached out in one way, shape, form, or another. All right. What's up, Billy? Thank you for hopping on and jumping on. We're going to be talking about the Iran war. We're going to be talking about a whole slew of things. And when John Brisson comes on, it should be a good chat because we view some things in a similar light and other things in very different lights. But this is what makes conversation fun, when you have different viewpoints and different thought processes. How have you been, my man?
I'm good, brother. Me da mucha alegría verte otra vez, hermano. Que Dios te bendiga. I've been good, brother. Chilling. Good to be here. Good to see you again. I'm happy that you're doing your thing. And that's it, man. Trying to make sense of the ridiculousness that's going on around the world, trying to figure the hell out where I sit in all of this and where we all sit in all of it. It's crazy, man. But it's meant, if we're here, if we're alive at this time, it's meant to happen, right? We're meant to experience this. At least that's the way I look at it. So no reason in shutting it down. Right? We got to look forward and meet it head on.
Absolutely. Shout out to Colleen. I don't know if I gave her a shout out.
You did.
And IO Planner. Colleen, you need to get your convincing tactics up to game to get your son a Confederate flag like the one I wear. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's crazy, man. My thought process is these days, and I get considered somewhat of an outcast, even within the conspiracy realm, for viewing many things as being manufactured. And John, check your X. I send it to your X, bro. I'll resend the link over to your X right now. So this is a live show, so I gotta send Mr. John StreamYard. Here we go. I just sent it over to your ex.
Let me tell you who's
There we
out
go.
there. Let me see who's out in the chat, man. Go shout people out.
Dr. Raza. Dr. Raza is on YouTube.
What's up, Dr. Raza?
Hopefully I'll be doing a show with him soon again. Blake, what's going on, my man? Yeah, so as people that have been following me for a while, you guys know that I don't buy into really a lot. When the government narrative says one thing, I'll believe the complete polar opposite of whatever the government is saying. And maybe at this point in time, maybe this is where Billy and I will agree, because you may agree that the Trump administration is completely full of shit. Just lie after lie after lie. But I guess the difference between you and I is where I believe no matter what administration is put in place, it's all bullshit and theatrics. But with the Trump admin, I mean, it's never a dull week, man. You're always hearing some crazy, fantastical shit. Earlier this week, he was talking about how, just casually, if I want to take Cuba, yeah, we'll take it. If I want to take it. And it's been interesting to see a lot of people that were hardcore on the Trump train now finally realize that they were sold a fucked up bill of goods. And for many of us, we called out the Trump bullshit way before he was even ever elected. We knew he was a con man. We knew he was a fucking fraud. We knew he was behind Trump University, which was a complete and utter scam. And this guy became fucking president. And now, only now, a lot of people are saying, oh my God, I didn't vote for this. I thought I was going to get the swamp drained and all this bullshit. And I don't want to completely shit on people. You know, if you can now finally see shit for what it is, hell yeah. But I don't want to hear anyone saying, I didn't know this was going to happen. The fucking signs had been there for many years at this point. So what are your thoughts on this whole Donald Trump bullshit?
Well, I think you're right. For the longest of time, people have been screaming at the top of their lungs about this dude, and even before, he became president, people were screaming at the top of their lungs about this dude. But some people don't want to hear it, and there was, fifth generation warfare is a serious thing. John is expert on that, on all of that, so we can talk a little bit about it. And I blame that in large part for what has happened here. I mean, but that also draws on people's emotions, on their inner feelings. So there's other stuff, right? We can't just blame it on that exclusively, but fifth generation warfare is a big factor in where we are right now. But still, like you said, they can't say they haven't been warned about this. They can't say that we didn't tell them, because we did. We've been screaming at the top of our lungs about this for quite some time, at our own expense, really, because it wasn't profitable. You couldn't get clicks off of it, right? You didn't get. It's hip now to talk crap about Trump. Now it's okay to talk crap about Trump, but it's been 10 years. So anybody that pointed out the obvious about this guy, they got hit with Trump derangement syndrome immediately. You have Trump derangement syndrome, you're crazy, X, Y, and Z. Now that's changed, and it's hard for me to fully accept, although I want to, because I feel we need that, right? And we want people to snap out of it. We want people to come to our side, or whatever side that's not that, right? and push back on that and abandon that type of thinking. The whole MAGA philosophy. Just realize that this guy's a fraud. And while it's happening, it's tough for me sometimes to just accept. And I want to just accept, be like, just come over, we'll figure it out later. And it's true, but it's hard for me to just like, why didn't you he's a rapist. Why did you turn your back on this? Epstein has been around forever. This is nothing new. Everyone knew, especially here in the alternative media, everyone knew about, and there's so many people. And I'm looking at Union of the Unwanted. There's so many people on that show that would run cover for Trump or push Trump and talk about how he was the best for the country and all this other stuff, knowing that the guy was involved in Epstein, that he was his best friend, but they would make excuses for that. He kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago, all this stuff. So it's hard for me to say, yeah, it's all good, come back. But I'm happy it's happening at the very least. It seems to be growing more and more as time goes by, because it's becoming more and more obvious that this dude isn't what he told you he was. It was always obvious to me. And I think that's because I'm from New York. And people would look at that and be like, well, what does that have to do with anything? Trump is also from New York. So I've grown up with this guy being on the media, being on the newspapers, on television, on the Howard Stern show. And I was never a fan, ever. So that's what led me to, this guy's a joke. What are you talking about? But now we're all seeing that this guy's a joke. Let me stop talking, turn it over to John. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, let's bring in John, my buddy John. I want to, before we give John the floor, John and Ashley were instrumental through my time of darkness. So I want to thank John publicly, not just privately, but publicly. And I want everyone to know that John is like a brother to me. We may see theologically things on polar opposites, but my respect for him as a human being, as a brother, has really skyrocketed recently, and I love this guy. So let's welcome my man, my brother, Mr. John Brisson. What's up, John?
Love you, Wheezy. Good to see you, Billy. Love you too, brother. Sorry about whatever happened. I took a screenshot of it, but like on my phone, I saw you saw this in the StreamYards, but on X on my computer, it was not loading your messages up, and I reloaded it like 3 or 4 times, and it still did not bring them up. And so I kept hitting enter to reload it like 10 times, and then it finally did it. So I don't know what that was about. Either it was a software glitch or you're being like shadow banned in DMs or something. I don't know. I've never seen that happen before, so I figured I would say it.
Yeah, that's weird because I sent you that StreamYard. Remember, I think I texted you yesterday that I had sent it over.
Yeah,
and then right now I checked it and it wasn't there. I was like, what the fuck? So something's weird. I don't understand what's going on. But yeah, man, what are your thoughts on what's going on? There's a number of topics I would like to hit, man, but what do you got for us, John? And before you get started, tell people where they can find you, my man.
Yeah, you guys can find me. We've read the documents on YouTube and in Substack. Glad to be here, you guys. I don't know. There's so much fog of war going on. There's so much artificial intelligence videos being posted on X. There's so much, as Billy said, 5th generational warfare going on through psychological and psychographical, which is one's personality. And obviously spiritual warfare too, that's being run on X and other social media platforms, that it's reached a fever pitch, and I'm not going to come on here and, and I don't think any of us are going to say we know exactly what's going on, because we don't. We have no clue. All right. But I will say that from a lot of things that I saw made me further kind of disappointed and a lot of people within the alternative media. And I'm not going to say that I don't fall short by any stretch of the imagination. I do. I'm human. But, us looking at Russia Today as an arbiter of truth would be like us looking at Voice of America as an arbiter of truth. And most Americans would realize that Voice of America and whatever's put through kind of the Mockingbird media for the most part, which would be your kind of big CNN, CBS, NBC, Fox News, which, Allison is now, it looks like, in control of CNN and CBS. We in the alternative media, we're very skeptical of those media outlets, right? But for some reason, a lot of people still hold faith in Russia Today, which is literally Russia's propaganda outlet, it's literally their version of Voice of America. And, before the change of the modernization of the Smith-Munn Act under Obama, Voice of America propaganda, at least, could not be broadcast on American soil. But it did after that, and it was very part of, I would say, part of the institution propaganda push for Trump, along with Cambridge Analytica in 2016. Voice of America has always been very pro-Trump. And so seeing Russia Today literally post artificial intelligence generated videos of like Tel Aviv on fire or Tehran on fire. You may have seen the one clip video where the guy is driving up the on-ramp, okay? And you see like Tehran in flames, you know, what babies appear to be some sort of oil infrastructure on flames. And I saw that being pushed through multiple days throughout the Iranian war, okay? Multiple days is being pushed. So much so that days later, it had been pushed again. And Russia Today had it with their little tiny little watermark down at the bottom, pushing it as it to be real, right? And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, come on, you guys. And something I want to discuss further is what I'm calling is the Bibi Netanyahu AI Turing test, okay? But this is for humans, all right? So I look at it as a Turing test in that Bibi's dead. He's not. Look, I don't think Bibi's dead. All right. First of all, I don't think Bibi now is dead. That's first and foremost. All right. Second, you don't think, as much as we harp about Unit 8200, right? As much as we discuss the IDF's branch of their own computer warfare and their computer psyops division, right? And everybody on alternative media can't shut up enough about Unit 8200. You don't think that if Bibi was dead, and they were going to put out a video of him being dead, right? You think that the intern would just slap a video up, right, of Bibi having quote unquote 6 fingers and stuff like that and everything? You think he was just on the job, and you think they wouldn't review it and like watch it? Like, you either want to give them so much credit that they're so good with everything with Palantir and the war that's going on in Gaza, and you know, using their technology and the infiltration of Unit 8200 and its effects in America, right, in the propaganda war and everything, but yet they can't take 5 minutes to check a video that they just use AI to produce, and they're like, "I just run through it, just go through it," you know. And then you have like majority of, you know, the so-called truth tellers on X be like, "Oh, baby, Netanyahu's dead. It's AI. It's artificial intelligence. He's dead. It's over." You know,
I think that was part of the psyop right there.
Oh, 1000%.
Yeah, they wanted people to run with, "Oh my God, Netanyahu's dead, and it's gonna fulfill prophecy." You know what I'm saying? And they were just fucking with everyone running with it.
Yeah. I mean, and then so BB starts playing into it, right? He's like, "Hey, see, look, I got 5 fingers," like he's John Cena. "You can't see me," right? He's like, "I got 5 fingers, everybody." You know, like they're even playing into the joke. And then people are still saying Bibi Netanyahu's dead. They're still saying, now look, I'm not saying some of those videos were not AI. I'm not saying some of those videos they weren't using maybe AI enhancement. I'm not saying all that. What I'm saying is the test was that people should have realized, that it was an operation. But people were so hungry to believe what they're being fed to them that they'll instantly believe it and they'll lap it up. And it was a sad thing to see. It's a sad thing to see. And so I'm not saying that I'm not guilty of being fooled by AI. I have a pretty good uncanny valley detector, but I'm not perfect. Okay. Nobody is. All right. But some of these things are just, if you've looked at AI videos enough and you look at like, what is AI? And you look at what's written by AI, for example, Grok, like you'll see these AI accounts on X where they'll be like 5 statements about what my grandma says about gold digging women, you know, and then you see how it's written where like the first one, it'll be like, you know, if she's ungrateful, then she's a gold digger. And then the way that it structures things, you could tell it's Grok doing it, is it'll say one sentence that's booked in by a thought, and then another sentence that's the same way that's booked in by a thought. And you're like, well, humans don't speak like that. We don't write like that. That's how you know it's AI, you know? And so it's just, it's just sad. It's just sad. I don't know what else to say. It's sad. The whole thing's sad. Like, I'd love to get you guys' opinion on it. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but it's just sad to me. It's just sad. So
Yeah, man. There's a lot of stuff I want to cover. So I'm glad we touched on the Netanyahu stuff, or Satan Yahoo, as some people refer to him. Yeah, I felt like that was all a psyop because of how quickly so many people ran with it, and stating it as a fact. And then the other thing that I noticed was a lot of people repeating the same shit. Oh my God, Netanyahu's dead. Oh my God, like every few hours people were saying that shit. I'm like, yeah, I'm starting to think this is a psyop. Yeah, these are mind games that get played with us. That's why it's called a psyop. It's a psychological operation. And my view, as I stated before, I don't know if you were here, John, but I have a lot of questions with this Iran war. I know some people, while I was gone, were asking me, hey, Weezy, what do you think about the war in Iran? What are your thoughts? And let's discuss this. I view a lot of this as theatrics. And one of the pieces that I will present is this. This is from the World Health Organization. And this is a little quip right here. The Islamic Republic of Iran has had 5 waves of COVID-19, but the vaccination rate has been growing in recent weeks with imported and locally produced vaccines covering all age groups, and more importantly, the most vulnerable, such as pregnant women, adolescents, and children, with safe vaccines, and even refugees and displaced populations, mainly from Afghanistan. This universal COVID-19 vaccination gives us hope for smart reopening of businesses and other entities in a gradual and vigilantly monitored pace. So, you folks, you Billy, you John, you may disagree with this take, but when I see a country that fell in lockstep with how pretty much the rest of the world handled COVID, my immediately mind is bullshit. As I've stated before, I lived in Florida. We were pretty much open the entire time. We didn't do the masks bullshit. People were not going to get vaccinated for donuts or joints. People didn't give a fuck. And the median income the median age where I live is 69 years old. Meaning there's tons of 80-year-olds, tons of 90-year-olds, tons of centennials. The prime age group that should have theoretically been ravaged by this COVID-19 virus and never happened. So because of that, when I see countries that took these hardcore measures against something that had a high-ass mortality rate, I become highly skeptical. And so when I see Iran with this response, when I see Iran engaged in the BRICS conversation, when I see Iran talking about smart cities, this is where my mind goes. And I'm not saying people are not dying. People will die in wars. What I am saying is a lot of these wars are orchestrated by motherfuckers that we will never know their names, by the real puppet masters. And it's a staged affair. A lot of these buildings that we have been seeing getting targeted by missiles had been scheduled for demolition beforehand. So that adds more to my suspicion about how real this is. We have the strongest military allegedly in the planet. If we really wanted to, we could have wiped the floor with Iran, and it's looking like it's going to be a long process. And I'm not buying any of it. I think a lot of it is bullshit. You have the perfect face for it by putting in Trump, a fucking idiot, a incompetent fucking buffoon. Oh, I didn't know that the Allies were not gonna have our back. Oh, just playing a fucking stupid ass. And that's the perfect idiot that you want in charge of this war with Iran. Maybe Billy will want to go since we haven't heard from him, and then I want to hear from John. See what you guys think.
All right, so Benjamin Netanyahu, yeah, he's alive, right? If he's put out several videos about him being alive, and he joked about it, like, look, I'm alive. I have the regular set of fingers, not 6. As far as it being an operation, right? A SOP, to what end, right? To what was that PSYOP designed to pull off if it was a PSYOP, right? The way I look at it is that it's a part of a larger PSYOP. It's not I don't think they said, let's release a video of Benjamin Netanyahu with 6 fingers and see what happens. It could be true. That could be a thing. I just don't think they did that. Even the video that was released of him with quote unquote 6 fingers, he didn't have 6 fingers. It was this part of the hand that kind of came out, and the finger, it looked like an extra finger. And initially I couldn't tell. I was like, oh shit, 6 fingers. I'm like, let me look into that. And then I'm like, oh, it's really not 6 fingers. Okay, I see. So from that point, I just stopped. I disengaged with everything. But one thing that both of you mentioned that is important to point out is the reaction of the alternative media. It was all over, but I looked at the alternative media in particular. They parodied everything that was said off of some videos on TikTok or on Instagram. And I mean, point by point, saying that Scott Bessent was pulled out of an interview.
Yep.
I think it was 60 Minutes that was doing the interview. I forget whom in the Oval, in the White House. Then Trump pulled him. And they were saying that his reaction was what it was because of he was informed that Benjamin Netanyahu was dead, right?
Russia Today was also pushing that as well, too, I want to say. So they were pushing both Netanyahu being dead, and they were pushing Scott Bessent being pulled away because Netanyahu was dead, too. Russia Today was pushing both of that.
So all of that was brought together to create a theory. And people bought it and ran with it. And you could see it. I saw it in some of my own friends putting it out. And I'm like, oh, man, here we go. But there's no evidence of it. But you said something, Weezy. You were like, people, or was it you, John? It was one of you guys that said, there's a thirst to believe this stuff. I think it was you, John. It's people want to believe these things, in particular here in the alternative media. So you see that Benjamin Netanyahu is dead, and they're trying to cover it up, even though none of it is true. We're automatically engaged in it, and we want to go for it, and it's spread throughout the alternative media fairly quickly. And I was just waiting for the guy to come out and say, "Nah, I'm not dead." Yeah, when Benjamin Netanyahu dies, bro, we're gonna know. We're gonna freaking know, So there's that aspect of it, right? So I do think it is a psychological operation, but not to the point where they said, let's release a video to see what happens. I think this happened organically. And then they were like, look at these people. It ultimately ended up being a test of how many people were still willing to go along with some of this stuff just cause. And a lot of people did, so it definitely could have been turned into something by, the people who study this stuff. And there are people that study this stuff. There are people, the cultural scientists that are sitting down and looking at what makes us tick and how we can be manipulated via the mind. So there's that. As far as Iran goes, man, I think it's legit. I don't doubt what's going on over there. I think, and I don't think you do either, Weezy. I think you think people are dying, people are getting blown up. You just think that there's targeted buildings that were due to be demolished, and those were the ones that came down. I don't know about that either way. I haven't heard any evidence to back that up, but I don't know about it either way. They did blow up a building with kids in it. What's up?
Yeah, and I'm sorry to cut you off, my man, but I'm glad you brought that up because I don't want to say this without moving on. our military can bomb someone from outer space. You know what I'm saying? Like they can pick out a specialized target from
with lasers,
with laser
like
beams and all this bullshit.
Yeah.
But you're oh my god, we hit a school. Like who believes this nonsense? I don't believe it. So sorry about that, Billy. I just wanted to add that.
No, you're good.
Go ahead, Billy.
I believe that they killed a bunch of kids. And
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it was an accident. That's what
I believe that these people are massively incompetent. So I could believe it's an accident, but I also could believe that it was a targeted. Because I think there were some children, and I read this report. I don't know if it was confirmed or not, but some kids of some of the Israeli National Guard were in that building, supposedly, and that's why they shot it. So I think it could have definitely been on purpose. I mentioned this on Gorilla Underground, I think it was, or on America Unplugged. I'm like, because they were just talking about how they had these directed precision weapons. Pete Hegseth was discussing that, that it's incredible what they can do. So I'm like, given that piece of information, I can only come to the conclusion that you did this shit on purpose, right? That's all I can, because you said you can pinpoint a target and boom, right? It's done. It's done.
Or I will say it could have been artificial intelligence. The Palantir platform could have made a mistake and hit the school by accident, because again, AI is not perfect either. People aren't perfect with laser guided position. We give them more. We give the leaders of our country and our military more credit than it actually has.
Well, given the words that he said, I'm holding him to it. Right at this point, I think it is. This is what they. They throw everything at us, so I am going to hold them accountable for every single word they said. So he said that. So I'm like, okay. If you said that, I have the only thing I can come to the conclusion of is that you did this shit on purpose. I don't know if they did or didn't, but this is what he said. Pete Hegseth said it, and Pete Hegseth is massively incompetent. He should not be where he is, So there's that aspect to it. But for me personally, I'm gonna hold him accountable for what he said. But did they do it on purpose? Did they not do it on purpose? There are hundreds of little kids dead, whether they did it on purpose or not, and the whole thing is none of this should have happened in the first place, and that's my biggest issue with all of it.
Yeah, it should not have happened. I agree. I also want to say that to Wheezy's initial point, a lot of Russian propaganda that gets passed around in the alternative media is that Iran does not have a central bank. It does. It's had one for quite a long time. In fact, it's also had relationship with the IMF since the late 1940s and goes IMF meetings once a year. And they've been working on a digital rial. So everybody says, oh, the Rothschild countries don't control Iran and North Korea. No. All right, that's enough. Enough. You can go look it up yourself. The information is readily available. You don't have to parrot these same old tired talking points. Okay. Russia has a central bank. I mean, Iran, Russia. And on top of that, Russia is, since I'm not on YouTube, I can say this, pioneering mRNA technology and mRNA vaccines, especially for cancer. They are ahead.
Actually, we are on YouTube, but I don't give a fuck.
Okay, well, sorry about that one, but they are pioneering that. And a lot of people think Russia's better, they're better because they fall for the propaganda. And look, I'm not saying America's better. I'm just saying they're both corrupt. Okay, and a lot of people like to say Putin, he's so manly, the strong man, he's telling it like it is. It's the same stuff you hear about Trump.
Yeah, I mean, earlier this week, John, you sent me a link by I think the New York Times about Cesar Chavez. For those that may not be familiar with Cesar Chavez, he was a Mexican American activist. He was kind of like the Martin Luther King of Mexican Americans. I heard about them growing up because I am a Mexican American. And then about, I want to say 15, 20 years ago, I remember, this was before I got into conspiracies too. I remember reading a report where people were saying, oh man, Cesar Chavez was kind of racist against Mexican or actual Mexicans, illegal Mexicans. He didn't like illegal Mexicans. He was just fighting for Mexican American farm workers. And I remember hearing that. And then the article you sent me was he had been credibly accused of like sexual improprieties, misconduct. And that got me thinking. A lot of these activists that we have been sold growing up in various communities, Martin Luther King,
Yep.
Cesar Chavez, name them. Noam Chomsky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All these people that have been put before us as heroes, as torchbearers of truth in a world full of darkness, are all fucking compromised scumbags at the end of the day. Every single one of them. The one exception that I told you, John, that I don't believe was fully compromised is Malcolm X. And that's probably why he got smoked. He was dropping a lot of truth bombs. And when you hear people talking about Malcolm X today, he's often viewed, oh, well, he was anti-Semitic. Oh, well, he was racist against white people. Oh, he's maligned even all these decades later. But if you pay attention to what he was talking about, he was dropping some heavy ass truth. And so that's probably the only exception to the rule. But every other quote unquote hero that we have seen before us is compromised. And that's why they got put on these pedestals. They were purposely put out there so that people would gravitate to them. And they were put there because guess what? We got shit on you, motherfucker. Yeah, we're going to let you say this. We're going to let you say that. But you stray too far off, guess what? You're going down, homie. So this only reinforces my thought that a lot of this shit is manufactured, man. All these things that we hear, all these things that we read, all these histories that we've been taught are all bullshit. What are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I would say in a lot of ways that's true. A lot of people in alternative media love JFK and they believe in the propaganda of the revisioning of JFK that, oh, he was against, Israel having nuclear weapons, or he was going to end the Federal Reserve, or he was going to tear the CIA into 1,000 pieces, and like all this standard conspiracy nonsense that got reloaded with Trump and JFK Jr. and RFK Jr. and all that. It got reloaded with that for people to fall for it yet again. The trauma that was done to the generation of the boomers during the 1960s gets reloaded, for a whole nother group of people. Kennedy was part of the Epstein affair of his time, the Profumo affair in the United Kingdom, having alleged sex with underage girls. But nobody wants to talk about that. No one wants to talk about RFK Jr.'s broad connections to Epstein, because the Kennedy family is like our royal dynasty, right? Like the royal elite in England, like the Windsors. But we don't want to discuss those things. So instead, we want to believe the mythos around Kennedy. We want to believe that he was really sticking it to Israel, and it was Israel that was killing him. When you ever get a chance, look at the memorial to Kennedy that was built by Israel for him. Look at his speech and how appreciative he was about Zionism to the Zionist Organization of America. But people want to leave that out. They want to leave it out. And so we had Jim Mars talk about how Kennedy wrote the executive order to bring down the Federal Reserve. Now, if you actually look up the executive order, and I'll get the number, and if you actually read it, he actually strengthened the Federal Reserve and took the power away from the states to be able to deal with gold and silver, currencies and stuff like that and everything. And go look at when JFK fired Dulles. He fired Allen Dulles, okay? And he's giving this speech. And by fired, I mean he was the one that oh God. When you go read the speech about Dulles in the Bay of Pigs, okay? All he does during that speech is talk about how great Allen Dulles is, how great the Dulles family are, how great the Dulleses for decades have been close to the Kennedy family. And it was so that Dulles did not get investigated by Congress. And the clincher for all this is when the Warren Commission was founded, okay, who when it was brought up for Allen Dulles to be on the Warren Commission, Wheezy, who gave the okay for that when asked by Lyndon Baines Johnson? Who gave the okay for that?
Drop them truth bombs, brother.
Robert Kennedy. Why would he have, people so much have bought into conspiracy about Kennedy, hook, line, and sinker. And it's sickening to me. And if you really took a second and took the biases out that they want to make Kennedy this grandiose hero of America that was striking against Israel and Zionism, if you thought for a minute to actually look at it and see, you'd realize that's not the case. The research is really not that hard to find. But the mythos around Kennedy is so great that people don't want to look at it.
No, man, I agree. It's really wild when you really start digging into these things, As you guys know, I cover the Lincoln stuff quite extensively. You talk to the average person about Abraham Lincoln, most people, black or white, will say Lincoln was awesome. He was a saint. He delivered the black race from evil, and when you really start looking at that time frame, only 160 years ago, you're like, holy shit. Lincoln was not the guy that I was raised up and taught about, that he was a wholesome guy and loved black people without reservation. When you see some of the stuff he said about black folks, that was hardly the truth. And as far as him loving the Constitution, far from the truth. Under him, habeas corpus was suspended. Search and seizures were a commonplace, completely illegal. He was viewed as a tyrannical ruler, even by people on his own side. And so, again, it's wild how only a few years need to pass by, a few decades need to pass by before reshaping and rehabilitating a scumbag's legacy. You know what I'm saying? And people will will fall for it each and every time. A little bit of propaganda here. We add a little seasoning of propaganda there. And now we have rehabbed this evil scumbag into a national treasure. And guess what? We're going to hold each year, we're going to hold celebrations honoring their legacy. And now they're our heroes, national heroes that were so tragically lost all those decades ago. It's super wild how propaganda works, man. Billy, you've been quiet for a minute. What are your thoughts?
What's up? I'm just listening. There is, a lot of the people, like celebrities, that never meet a celebrity because you're gonna get let down, right? There's for every person alive, somebody has a different perception of who that person is. You can ask Wheezy who I am, and you can ask Brisson who I am, and they will both give you different answers. Similar maybe, but different. Everybody has a different perception of everyone else. So there's infinite versions of John Brisson, an infinite version of Wheezy, an infinite version of me.
Can I answer that real quick?
Yes,
Who
sir.
is Billy Ray Valentine? He's a bitch ass hoe. I'm just kidding. All right, sorry. Go ahead, bro.
Who's asking? Who's Billy Ray Valentine? First,
Billy did walk right into that one. So what can I say?
but hey, he thinks so Wheezy would think I'm a bitch ass hoe, and Brisson thinks
I'm just kidding, bro.
I know, brother.
I want everyone to realize, Billy. There's, and I don't want to cut you off. Finish your thought,
brother. You're
Billy,
fine.
but I just want to announce and let everyone know that I don't trust a lot of motherfuckers in this space, this alternative media. And as far as trust and as a good character, even though I disagree with him quite a bit, we both disagree with a lot of shit. But as a person, as an individual, I respect him and I love him as well, man. So I want people to fully realize and understand that. So sorry, Billy. Sorry.
And remind me, unless I forget, we need to talk about the Palm Beach Pete psyop of Epstein, and we got to talk about that. All right, but go ahead. Billy, that one's important. You know that one's important because a lot of people are falling for it. You know we got to.
Epstein.
You know we got to talk about Paul. He said, I partied with Jeffrey Epstein. Palm Beach, you know it's an op. He was like, I partied with Jeffrey Epstein. I was down with Epstein. No, he said that. I heard I watched the Instagram.
Regardless, I lost my train of thought. What were you asking, Wheezy? I'm completely
sorry, bro. You were on a roll. You were talking about, you were making the comparison. If me or John were to talk about you, we would have different.
So everybody has a different perception of who you are, right? So when we're presented with these people, historical people, it's going to be framed in whatever perspective they want to get out of this person, right? Whatever opinion they want you to have of this person, right? And then that's the superficial, right? That's what they give you wherever in school where you learn from them or anywhere else. They give you the highlights on a Martin Luther King, right? Or on a Malcolm X, and once you dig a little bit deeper into any of these people, they're gonna have issues. They're human, so they're going to not live up to the expectations that people draw from them. I happen to have a bit of a different view than John has on Martin Luther King. John thinks Martin Luther King is the worst, right? I don't believe that.
Okay, I don't think he's the worst. I just don't think that he's built up into the character of people think he is. That's
he's not, and no one is what I'm trying to say. Like,
I agree.
Right, especially if people, especially if they're famous people or they're people that are presented in a way to push a particular message, and that's what we get, right, from all of for everything. So from a Malcolm X, from a Martin Luther, from a Abraham Lincoln, which I can't even pretend to. Or nor do I care, right? It's not even a thing for me. I know about the conspiracy theory. I've heard Wheezy talk about it several times, and people before Wheezy talk about it several times. But it's just not a point of interest for me. But I know how he was. I
love you too, Billy.
I know how he was presented, in school, right? And what I learned about him after the fact, So there's Don Jeffries does a ton on Abraham Lincoln. So I had to listen to that, and see that perspective. But what I do want to point out is I think it was Blake in the chat. Let me go back and read your comment, Blake. I think I'm saying that right. If I'm not, correct me. The conspiracy is getting you to believe that everything is a conspiracy theory. It's not. Now, I don't know what this is in reference to. So I'm
Blake is my boy, man. Shout out to Blake.
But I will say, in counteract to that, of everything that he's
hold
saying,
on, let me finish, and then you can go. I just don't want to forget it, John. I'm gonna forget it. So when Blake, I'm taking this little comment by Blake in isolation. I don't know what this is in reference to, so I'm just taking it in isolation. I think Blake is absolutely right. Right. Not everything is a conspiracy. And in the alternative media, we look to find a conspiracy in everything because of the grand conspiracy theory that's been pushed forever. And this originated, at least the modern day version of it, from John Birch, from the John Birch Society. This is where the overarching grand conspiracy of all conspiracies came from. So we look to find connections in everything. This is connected to this and it's connected to that. And all of these people have been shoveled in front of you for a reason. And none of this is organic. I don't subscribe to that point of view. But is some of it that way? Yeah, definitely. Is all of it that way? I don't think so. So we need to take everything with a grain of salt. We can't put people up on a pedestal like they're saints, because they're not. So if you look into them, they're probably going to have, inappropriate, affairs with women. Some of these people, in the White House, man, look, Bill Clinton is a degenerate piece of crap, right? And people loved him, then they have, George W. Bush, who he had, Jeff Gannon in the White House, right? And if you were a neocon, a super conservative that didn't like any, that doesn't like gay people, you were shocked to hear that this guy might have had a gay porn star in the White House. This is per Alex Jones. I don't know. Alex Jones is another one, right? That I thought for a long time was one thing, totally not what I thought he was, and it was fairly evident to see, but I couldn't see it. I thought it was, okay, it's Alex Jones. We're going to roll with it, so there is that aspect of it. So that's important to note. So I thought that was a good comment by Blake. This overarching conspiracy is the conspiracy theory of everything is I think it's a problem ultimately. And you can trace it back to John Birch at bare minimum. Go ahead.
I just want to, and I'll let John finish up. My views, my personal views, and this is just, to let my longtime followers know, my views on that is that I believe I do subscribe to everything as a conspiracy until proven otherwise. Like I said at the very beginning, if the government says the sky is pink, I'm going to say the sky is fucking purple or some other bullshit. I don't trust anything they say. And the reason for that, it's not because of John Birch or any of that. It's because of the track record of lies, verifiable lies. How many peace treaties with my Native American ancestors were made by the U.S. American government over the years? Do you know, Billy?
What's that, buddy?
How many Native American peace treaties did the U.S. government make with my Native American ancestors?
They're my Native American ancestors too. I don't know
how many were made.
I don't know an exact number.
You probably don't know. There were hundreds.
Right.
How many were honored?
Not a lot, if any.
Zero.
Right.
Absolutely zero.
Recently learned about Mount Rushmore, man. That's a crazy ass story.
Yeah, and this is what I mean. With a track record like that,
mm-hmm.
Let's suppose you have a family member.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you trusted them at first, and then they get caught with this lie. Then you find out that little lie led to another fucking lie. And then that lie sprang up 5, 7, 10 other lies. And so that one lie just spread out into a million fucking lies. And that's what happens. And this is with someone that you trusted, you loved. How are you to take anything else they take seriously? So that's how I look at the government. With a track record of lie after lie after lie. We were told Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. That was a fucking lie. And with a track record like that, I ain't believing a goddamn thing they say. If they say Trump an attempt at Trump's life had taken place, and I look at the video and I see the crowd sitting down nonchalantly, I ain't believing that shit. And now recently, you know what? Now that I'm on this subject, recently, let's see, let me look at my bookmarks. Only on March 6th, Fox News ran this segment, and I felt like, there you go. I'm pretty much officially exonerated or proven right that the whole Trump assassination was complete and utter bullshit. And I called on it hours. Actually, when I saw it in real time, the highlights after I recorded the show, I'm like, this doesn't look organic at all.
But the ear, Wheezy, he got shot. He was anointed, Wheezy. He was anointed.
Bull fucking shit. Let's watch this clip by Fox News, which I feel, boom, I'm fucking exonerated. Here we go.
Accuse him of plotting to assassinate American political leaders, including President Trump. He says Iran was behind it all. Alexis McAdams is outside the Brooklyn Federal Courthouse in New York City. Alexis.
Hi, Harris. Yeah, an interesting case that really not a lot of viewers knew about when it happened in 2024 because President Trump was out on the campaign trail and there was so much going on and so many other threats. But that's when police say a Steve merchant came here from Pakistan because he says Iranian leadership told him to, said hunt down President Trump, hire a couple of guys that can take him out at a political rally. So take a look here on your screen. This is who we're talking about. He's sitting there inside of that Brooklyn Federal Courthouse right now as those closing arguments.
This is the best they fucking could do. A fucking notepad and a fucked up square. Okay, go on.
Are underway. 47 years old. He's facing federal terrorism charges and could spend the rest of his life behind bars. Merchant testified, Harris, in his own federal trial, and he explained this, making this drawing again that he said Iranian leaders back in 2024.
I'm about to show that we're the same personality type here. Is it a possibility that just showing that is a setup all in its own too?
Yes,
right?
Bro. This is so. I was just gonna. I
so
forgot.
Stupid. It's like the past.
I forgot about this clip, bro. Like, I'm like, when I saw this clip, I'm like, boom! I was proven right. When I called the Trump assassination attempt as bullshit, I was ridiculed. I was looked at as loony, as fucking crazy. And this little piece, boom, I'm good now, man. You motherfuckers are now saying Iran was behind the Butler bullshit. The fuck out of here, man. And this is what I mean, Billy. This is what I'm trying to get at the end of the day, is that this is why my worldview is the way it is. It's lie after fucking lie. After fucking lie. After fucking lie, man. We were told, the moon landing. Oh yeah, we're gonna land, man, on the moon again. Oh shit, we had some hiccups. We're gonna have to kick the can down another fucking few years. It's all an utter bullshit, man. And I'm not saying this to slam no footballs or anything like that, Billy. I respect the way you view things. I know it's a lot different than what I am. I just want to let the people that follow me know where I stand. And I do view a lot of this shit as gay and fake.
So in response to some of this, yeah,
my bad, bro.
You're fine.
I'm enjoying my Crown and Coke, by the way. I'm in good spirits, as y'all can tell. I'm trying to get back to normal Wheezy, and this is kind of like my.
Well, I'll say this.
Hold on.
I don't want to speak for Billy, but I got a question for you, Billy.
All right.
Do you, the way you look at Butler, is it a possibility that they faked what happened to Trump? Right?
Hold on. This is important.
Okay.
How do you think that I look at Butler?
I don't know.
That it was fake, but Corey Carpenter was shot.
That's better, Wheezy.
Okay.
I don't know.
I would say if I were to guess the way you would view Butler, I don't know that. Let's hear it. I'm interested. I'm interested in knowing.
That's important because people make assumptions about the way people think about things, right? Without even asking them and telling them, how do you, what is your view? And then you got to clarify your view because sometimes, we say things and people take that out of context. So you got to go back and clarify it.
100%. 100%.
Here's what I think happened there. And I got to say what I think. I have no freaking clue what happened there, right? And I am sitting in the middle of this and I look at it and it looks like a staged event for me. Do I have any proof that it is a staged event? I don't. I can't prove that. even if I wanted to, and I want to, I'm going to be fully transparent with I would love to prove that was a staged event. I want it to be staged. So more of this stuff can fall apart.
I can give you evidence, bro, if you want to know.
But here's the thing too, and there's a couple of points that I wanted to make about what you had said, right? So I talked about John Birch, and then you said, you don't feel the way you do because of John Birch. And that's true. The majority of the people that are conspiracy theorists right now have no idea what John Birch even is. They have no idea. What I was talking about was where this type of thinking originated. Yeah, you can trace it back to John Birch. Most people have who's John Birch?
Trace it back to Alice Bailey. In modern time.
In modern times, it's John Birch. I mean, for me,
Alice Bailey before Birch.
To trace it back, but the way it's framed right now, the overarching conspiracy, it's John Birch in the political sector of things, in my opinion. With and Wheezy, you said they've lied to us so many times, and you're right. They've lied to us so many times. Whether they did it on purpose or not, it's still a lie, and that's trauma. We are traumatized as a society, and this is why we don't believe what they put out. Right? This is why conspiracy theories are easy to flourish and exist as they do. Now you looked at that photo, and I'd never seen that clip before. It's the first time I've ever seen that clip that you put from Fox News about the Trump shooting. And I see that picture, and it looked like a joke to me. It looked like something out of Saturday Night Live. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah,
why? Why
That's why I had to laugh, bro. It's so fucking stupid.
Why would they post it? I'm like, why would they do? If I was sitting in the back, I'm like, maybe we don't want to show that. Not for anything. I'm just going to serve to discredit us. Why
it was on a notepad, bro. And it wasn't even.
Also,
come on, man.
We do know that that's not proof of anything. It doesn't advance our argument in any sort of way.
There's more to it, Billy. That's the thing.
I've heard. I don't think. I know that I was looking at it the other day because it resurfaced on the internet for some reason. And, this guy got shot in the ear, right? Supposedly. And then there's blood coming down and he's like, fight. The ultimate, what is it? The staged picture right there, right? The perfect picture to be taken. But the thing that caught me were the people in the background. I know if it was me and I'm standing there with Wheezy and with John, and they shot in that direction, I'm like, let's go down, let's get out right now. Maybe that is because I am from the Bronx. I don't know, but I'd have been gone. Okay. And these people were standing there cheering it on. And that's weird to me. That's just not, but that's not
natural, bro. That's not natural. Just say what it is, Billy. It's not natural.
But it's also not proof of anything. Right. So I can't prove any of this.
Exactly. But that's one stepping stone to wait a minute. Maybe there's more to this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so when I looked at Trump, bro, that was my immediate get. Later on, another thing that I did was I paused it. At the initial second before the first shot rang out. Boom. And I looked at the crowd and I counted how many motherfuckers are going to have their phones out, because we live in an age right now. And I want this for the record. So if people listen to this podcast 10, 15, 20 years from now, I want them to fucking know that history will not be rewritten. We live in a day and age where every motherfucker's got phones out at all fucking times. And so what I did was I froze the fucking screen. Guess how many phones were out recording the side of the ear that allegedly got shot, Billy? I'll tell you how many, because I did the fucking research.
How many?
4. You're going to tell me out of all those motherfuckers that were there, only 4 people were recording? Here's the other kicker. Where are those videos? To this fucking day, we haven't seen one fucking video of his ear that allegedly got shot. So I bring this up because there's a normie that follows me on Twitter. and he's a lefty, but he believes that fucking Trump actually got shot at. He hates Trump just as much as everyone else, but he believes that he really got shot. And then when I brought this point up to him, I go, show me the fucking video of the angle that allegedly took the bullet. I'm waiting for it. I've looked at every fucking camera angle. There is no angle of that shot, even though there was 4 video cameras recording at that time. Why haven't we seen that to this fucking day? Because it doesn't exist, because the whole fucking thing was manufactured. And that's what I mean, you want to talk about evidence? That's evidence.
I don't know if that's that's, in my opinion, that's not, I mean, it's circumstantial at best. You know, it's not proving
but it is a form of
where
evidence.
is that evidence?
That's
I mean,
fine.
come on, man.
John, there's a form of evidence for everything. That doesn't mean it's going to hold up in court. That doesn't mean we can prove anything. And you
That's
know
correct,
this.
yes.
There is no way, because if we could have done it, we would have done it already.
But here's my counter to it, Billy. I get what you're saying, but if clearly there was 4 people recording at that time period, which to me is very low. In this day and age, there should have been hella more than 4 people with fucking phones out.
The way I look at it is,
go ahead. But at the very least, there are 4 videos out there capturing that angle.
Right.
Where are those videos?
If I look at it, I would say that that's a lot of people that are. If I was filming at that time and I heard gunshots, like I said, I'm gone. Phone is out. I'm out of there.
This was before the first shot took place.
Right.
This is what I'm saying. I froze the frame at right before the first shots rang out.
Right. I see what you mean. Even if like I don't know what that proves really. You can make 8 million arguments out of different perspectives for that, you know. And like I said, dude, listen, I can't stand Donald Trump. I hate what they've done. It's changed my paradigm on a lot of things as a result of it. But I love that it's falling apart. I think we want to continue nailing it down. I mean, I don't think we need any additional bits of evidence to show that these people are degenerate pieces of crap. You know, but if we can prove that this was all staged, I'm all for it, bro. Am I putting it past these people to do something like that? No, I think they would do it. You know, So if we have evidence to say that they've done it, great. We're lacking that evidence, a lot of it. You understand?
And I respect that position, Billy. I disagree with you there that I think there's tons of evidence. Just the reactions. See, it seems like a lot of people are easily to dismiss the reactions we saw.
Or the reaction of the Secret Service. They didn't follow
the reactions of the Secret Service, the photo op, the way the camera people moved before the shots rang out. We even have a clip. I played it on one of these shows where the Secret Service is getting ready to jump on the stage before the shots rang out.
Yeah, man.
How do you explain that?
And they kept them on stage. They kept them on.
You wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know there are other shooters or a bomb or something like that.
They let him yell, fight. Like he was looking for his shoe on. I mean, it's weird. It's a lot of weird.
Billy, let me say another thing though.
Yeah.
When you look at the Secret Service that was there at Butler, they had 3 chicks, man. I'm all for girl power. I was a former firefighter. We had a girl on the squad. She was the most in shape woman I have ever met in my life. But she couldn't do the fucking job. We had to constantly babysit her. Her backpack was too heavy, so we had to help her out. She had woman problems. She couldn't do it. Physically, cardio-wise, a fucking monster. She would outdo most men. If I'm being honest, she would literally do most out men physically. But for the position, we had to baby her along. And so when I look at the Secret Service, there was one that looked clearly out of shape. And the other 2 were very petite. And these were right there in the line to defend the 47th president of the United States. Get the fuck out of here. I went to the White House last year for the 160-year anniversary of the Lincoln assassination. And I passed by the White House. And I talked to a Secret Service agent that was guarding the entrance to the White House. This motherfucker was 6'6", 240 fucking pounds, who was guarding the entrance to the fucking thing. But you had to put these fucking chicks, an out of shape woman and a petite woman, to guard President Trump. Get the fuck out of here, man. It's a complete and utter joke. It's all theatrics. I don't buy none of it. The blood pattern. I mean, a bullet. He turns his head just like Lincoln, again, following another fucking narrative. He turns his head at just the right moment, and he barely misses getting killed. The Charlie Kirk shit, man, is really no different than a lot of this stuff, man. The Charlie Kirk nonsense. More theater. I'm sorry. It's
more theater.
You see Erica Kirk doing the fucking weirdest shit that anyone's ever seen out of a widow, out of what is expected as a widow. And most people will say, well, people grieve in different ways. I ain't buying none of this shit, man. It's all bullshit, man. And I know we may disagree with it, and I still love you, Billy, but I don't buy any of this shit, man.
No, it's cool. I don't know if I was ever there to that point where I didn't buy into anything, but I did a show called The Infinite Fringe for several years, so I
met you that way, bro.
Yeah,
and I want people to know this. I'll let you finish, but I want people to have context, because sometimes people that follow me were like, "Oh man, this Billy guy." You guys can talk shit if you want. It's freedom of speech, but I'm gonna say straight up, Billy's my homeboy, even though we disagree. And before I had my show, the guy that I would listen to is Billy fucking Ray Valentine of the Infinite Fringe podcast. He was one of my inspirations to get into the podcast game. And he's a fucking legend. Whether you agree with him today or not, he's a fucking legend, man. And I proudly view him as a homie, even though we have a difference in views these days. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead, Billy.
I mean, I appreciate you for that, man. Although I think about my time on the Infinite Fringe and I'm like, shit, like, you know, I hope I didn't, but I know I did steer people the wrong way sometimes. At least that's the way I feel now. We have to believe in something, right? It's like, maybe that's the wrong way to phrase it. We you know, when we're driving cross country or we're driving somewhere and we got to go across the bridge, we place our trust that somebody built this bridge in the right way, right? We always have to trust an external source, right? We when we go eat at a restaurant, we hope that they cook our food in the right way, you know, and we don't hope, we just assume they do because we're consuming it, you know. So there's that aspect of it. So it's the same with the news. We have to discern, and there is fake news and there is false news. This is all true, you know, but there's a certain level that we need to have a buy-in into this reality, because otherwise we'll get completely detached, you know. And if nothing's real, then what are we arguing, right? So I like to stick to, even though I thought I was doing this before, but I like to stick to what I can prove. If I can't prove it, well, I'll talk about it, but I'll talk about it in a way that I'm like, hey, I can't prove any of this. And it started when I was doing 9/11 activism. I used to say 9/11 was an inside. I've been to that last year. I didn't go, but since 2005, I went down to ground zero every freaking year up until last year doing activism, you know, and trying to get people, to learn about 9/11 truth. And I would say 9/11 is an inside job, 9/11 inside job, until I realized that I couldn't prove that. And then I started saying, well, investigate 9/11. And that's what I say to this point. I say, investigate 9/11, investigate 9/11, because I can't prove that it was an inside job. Even if I think that it's an inside job, I don't, by the way, I believe there's a lot of things going on, and it's an inside job to a degree. Yes, there's a lot of things going on. But even if I did believe it 100%, that doesn't make it true. It doesn't prove anything. It's just, I believe that, but can I prove it? No, I can't. I can't prove it. So that's what I'm trying to go with. What can I prove? What can't I prove? And if I can't prove it,
I get you, bro.
Right.
Yeah, and you know what? This is where you and I are very similar, but where we start veering in different paths. You know what I mean? The way, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to speak for you, but I believe nowadays you need evidence to ground yourself and believe in some kind of reality. I believe the same thing. The thing is, I think it's harder to tell truth these days, especially with the advances in AI and the constant bullshit of lies and propaganda. Propaganda is a fucking thing. It's a real fucking thing.
Right.
But I feel that when something big happens in the terms of world events and whatnot, you will tend to veer towards the official narrative, because of what is being passed as fact and as truth. Where areas I won't believe a fucking thing, and I start veering that way. This is where we kind of start. This is the fork in the road, if you will, the metaphorical road. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I just, because of the track record, verifiable track record of lies and bullshit, shit that they have even admitted. They have admitted that the Tuskegee vaccine experiments on black people, giving them syphilis, they have admitted to this shit.
Yeah, man.
And so when I think about a pathological liar, if they're willing to lie about some egregious bullshit, what are the things they will never admit to? And that's the point, and that's the stance that I take these days. I don't fucking believe anything. Now, if I look at it any further, I'm like, oh shit, maybe they were telling the truth here. Then maybe, even then, I still won't believe their shit. But maybe then I'll be like, all right, there's some good points here. I'm open to that. I feel like my mind is open to hearing new information. It just has to make logical fucking sense at the end of the day. That's all I ask for. If it doesn't make any fucking sense, I don't give a fuck if you state it as quote unquote fact, right, or quote unquote truth. I don't give a fuck. If it doesn't make sense, fuck you and your bullshit truth. I ain't going along with it. And that's just the way I look at it.
I think we agree more than we disagree on that point, right? Let's take Tuskegee, for instance. We can prove that. That happened.
Yeah, but Billy, why can't we prove that? Because that's what they admitted to. Right. My issue, here's the difference between you and I. My issue is, as I stated before, what about the shit that they won't ever admit to?
But
does that make it any less of a truth?
But does that make it a lie either? Right? It doesn't make it truth, but does it make it a lie? And then we have to speculate as to what they're not admitting, if it's anything at all. It's all speculation, and that's part of the trauma. That's why we're here. Right, because of the history of lies and the history of experimenting on our people. It happened in El Salvador. They did the same thing with the vaccines. There's a history of this, and when we stick to evidence-based analysis of this stuff, we can prove what they did in El Salvador. We can prove what they did in Tuskegee. We can prove MK Ultra. We can prove fifth generation warfare. We can prove a lot of this stuff. I think this is where we need to live, because we can argue in a way that can't really be argued against when we have the truth on our side. When we start speculating about what they may or may not do, we don't have anything to stand on, because we don't have any evidence of one way or another. So that's the whole deal. Like, once we start, and I think you and I, from everything you just said, I think you're right. I think where we do disagree or where we do verge isn't in Billy is adhering to mainstream narratives. I think we come to, because you just said, if they can prove it to me, and I can see proof, I'm open-minded to it, and I believe that you are, right? I believe in what I can prove, not necessarily the mainstream narrative. Can I prove the mainstream narrative, or can I disprove it? So I believe in what I can prove. Where we veer, I think, is when that proof is presented, do you take it as actual proof, and do I take it as actual proof? I might take it, I might accept that proof, and you will not accept that proof. I think that's where we veer off, and everybody comes to their own realization about these sort of things. No matter what anybody would tell me before, I would not budge. I would just keep going. And so it's an individual process. It's personal to everyone. The voyage is a personal one. One of these days, I'm not saying you, Weezy, I'm talking in general. One of these days, you're gonna hit an iceberg, and you're like, oh damn, what the hell have I been believing all of this time? It may never happen, but it happened to me.
It happened several times, I believe, throughout your life, man.
Yeah,
and that's what throws you off.
Right.
I've often said my first red pill was leaving religion. That was my first red pill. It turned my world upside down. I'm like, what the fuck?
Right.
Everything I have been brought up to believe is bullshit.
Right.
And so then it happened again with government. And I'm like, man, what the hell? I thought this was real. And that now it's all bullshit. And so, yeah, man, I'm sure I'll have other red pill moments throughout my life. I'm not saying these were the only red pills I've had, and that's it. I'm sure I'll have more, and I just have to be open and receptive to it. Let's bring in John, man. John's been quiet for a minute. What are your thoughts, John?
I got a question for the both of y'all.
Hell yeah.
Wheezy, does our government or other governments ever tell the truth when they're not confronted?
When they're not confronted, I would say no. I'm going to err on the side of the belief that I have that the government lies constantly, so I will say no.
Does the news media ever tell the truth?
Ever tell the truth? I'm sure they do from time to time.
Okay. What about you, Billy?
Like for example, tomorrow it's gonna rain. There's a high probability of rain.
But sometimes it doesn't. Weather forecasting ain't that accurate. I'm
gonna wear
I
a
wouldn't use that
raincoat.
for an example. All right.
I'm gonna wear a fucking raincoat if the news is gonna say. You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't have used that one. All right, Billy, go ahead.
Yeah, sometimes they tell the truth. Well, what was the other one? You said, does the media tell the truth, and does the government tell the truth? Yeah, sometimes they do.
Where do y'all think I land?
I would say no.
Go ahead.
Like similar to me.
I would, and this is just judging on my interactions with John for years. I think John, he's not in the middle, but I think he at least he has admitted to me when the government is telling the truth, or he thinks the government is telling the truth. He would say, yeah, they're telling the truth. I don't think John operates in that manner. Like he's just all, it's an automatic no. Even though I would agree, I would understand is what I'm trying to say. Why somebody would think in that manner, it's an automatic no. But John will be like, yeah, they're telling the truth, or not.
Yeah, I would say that I used to hold Wheezy's position more. I'm now, I'm like somewhere between the both of y'all, if that makes sense. Would probably be where I am. And so right now it's being reported that Israel had a catastrophic failure in the Iron Dome, and the Dimona area was hit very badly. And we know that Israel earlier had attacked the Iranian nuclear facility. So things seem to be continue to escalate even further now. But we shall see what happens? Does this drag some sort of push towards some sort of peace deal? I doubt it. I think this is further escalation as now the RGC has come out and said that after 3 weeks of analyzing their enemy's weaknesses, they are now on the offensive. Iran is no longer on the quote-unquote defensive. They're now on the offensive.
All right. Good update by Mr. John Brisson of We've Read the Documents. Let me ask you both about Joe Kent.
Okay.
Joe Kent was a personally appointed figure in the Trump administration. And he recently came out and even putting out a statement saying he does not agree with American aggression on Iran. People that are for Israel are calling him an anti-Semite, a professional anti-Semite. And he's being smeared about and being held as somewhat of a hero in the alternative media for that stance. Keeping in line with my spirit of being skeptical of all these motherfuckers, I do not view Joe Kent as, even though I may agree with his stance in this position, doesn't mean that automatically he's a fucking hero to me. And that's the way I look at it. I think all these guys are compromised. I think they play a role. And Joe Kent, too, is playing a role. And I know that may be unpopular right now, but I feel confident I will be proven right down the road. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Can I speak first to this one, Billy? If you don't mind? Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
I would say that Kent is definitely being used, if not is involved in a direct operation, knowing his previous associations with the alt-right, and him kind of running in those alt-right circles, and being pushed by Bannon and appearing on War Room frequently, as well as kind of his relationship with Matt Gaetz and his relationship with Nicholas J. Fuentes.
Jesus Christ.
it's enough for me to go, all right, come on, so it's enough for all of that to make me go, this ain't. Are those his genuine feelings? Well, if that was the case, then why did he post on X that his own genuine feelings that Iran was trying to assassinate Donald Trump at Butler? So again, all of those things. This might go against what I just said a minute ago, where I tend to leave, but this is just too much. Like once you start getting too much with frequent appearances on War Room with Bannon, him being Catholic, Ken is Catholic, his relationship with Nick Fuentes, his relationship with Matt Gaetz, his relationship, he has a relationship too, but him also, as soon as he gets out, what show does he go on to immediately give his testimony to? Tucker Carlson. It's enough. It's enough for me. It's enough for me. It's enough.
You know what? And well, let's hear, Billy. Do you have any?
And what's a CIA guy? Like that comment? Yeah, wants a CIA guy. Wants a special forces guy. 9.5 out of 10 times out of 10. John Brisson's going on record. Wants a CIA guy. Wants a glowy. Wants a special forces guy. Always a CIA special forces guy.
100%.
Going on record right now. I won't say 100%. I'll say 9.5, 95%. I'll say that. But outside of
fuck that shit. 100%. Hell yeah, John bringing in the fucking truth bombs. Billy, you got any thoughts on Joe Kent?
I just know that he's a MAGA zombie, and yeah. I've seen him be that for a long time on War Room, with Steve Bannon. I know that these people are all like Steve Bannon is, and of course Michael Flynn. That they're the top level psychological operators. They are no joke when it comes to that. So you can't rule anything out. Yeah. I am of the position, and I don't even know if I fully believe this, right? I don't know overall, but when I'm looking at this, I'm starting to think that some of these people that are, quote unquote, in these positions of power and yield all this influence are also caught up in a bubble, and they're manipulated by that bubble. So if he's cool with Nick Fuentes, let's see what Nick Fuentes has been saying. What's this? I missed it. I'm sorry. I'll read it later.
There's proof we're in the end times.
Yeah.
Chuck Norris died.
And one thing I want to add to Billy is when Joe Kent was running for office, and that's when Nick Fuentes he was all cozy with Nick Fuentes.
Mhm.
He met with a certain billionaire to get funding for his campaign and had a special dinner that was put forth to him by a special billionaire. Who do you think that billionaire is?
Oh, Peter Thiel.
That is correct. Yes.
Damn.
So it's whenever we start talking about these people, it's fair to start making assumptions that it could be something more than what it's presented. That being said, just because he stepped down, and I'll take, and this is another thing, right? We have to take these wins, or even if is it an operation? To what end if it's an operation? But regardless, even if it's an operation, what's the perception that's going around? Like MAGA's falling apart. They're like, oh my God, look at this guy from his own, one of his own picks that he appointed to this position, and then turns around and says that he can't do this job. Trump said, well, I never thought he could do this job. I never thought he was good on national security or whatever the hell he said. But you appointed him. You appointed him. So how are you turning around and saying what you're saying now, that you never thought he was good for this? So the guy has stepped down for whatever the reason is. Maybe he really believed that this thing was a mess. That doesn't mean he's not a piece of crap. It doesn't mean that he doesn't hold crazy beliefs and that he should not be in a position of power. So there's that aspect of it. And I start to think that if there is an operation, the operation is a lot bigger than we give it credit for, where people that are in government, including Donald Trump, is a part of the operation. Meaning he's not manipulating things. He is being manipulated. He is being mind manipulated. Donald Trump. All of these people are, not all of them, but I think Kent might be one of them that is being a true believer in the cause. Then again, he's CIA.
Yeah. Look at this link that John put in the private chat.
What's that?
This is by Joe Kent. On May 19th of 2021, he wrote on X, I'm honored to have Peter Thiel's support. The American First Movement is coalescing around our campaign. Mm-hmm. Stay tuned. Hashtag Save America. America First. God damn, that's a hell of a tweet right there by Johnny B.
Well, I would even say this to that, Nick Fuentes and Peter Thiel. And Nick Fuentes was butthurt about Peter Thiel. And the reason why he came out against him, as everybody well knows, is because Peter Thiel didn't pay Fuentes a re-up on his account for him to shill. And so I was listening to America Unplugged today. Shout out to the great Don Jeffries. Shout out to Don. One thing I want to correct of what he was saying is where is JD Vance? He's been silent about all this. Now we know that Joe Kent is a Peter Thiel boy. We know that JD Vance is a Peter Thiel boy. Now the reason why a lot of people will say, well, does that mean that Thiel isn't really behind what's going on in Iran and Israel? Thiel's a little smarter than people want to give him credit for. All right. The reason why Vance is being quiet, and the reason why Joe Kent goes down, and this is me speculating, this is a conspiracy, okay? I want to make that known, is guess what AI company, the Pentagon, officially came out with that they are going with their software going forward, that they dropped Anthropic for. Who did they choose? Well,
they didn't drop Anthropic for it. I mean, Palantir is the company you're referring to.
Correct. Yes, the Maven software.
Right.
Which was always what they were going to do, in my opinion.
I agree with you. They were always going to do this. Go ahead.
So, that's why you're seeing this, is because Peter Thiel's trying to draw some of the heat off of them. And people aren't really paying attention to that part. So, again, Joe Kent, if this was any given Sunday, if I gave you all this information about Joe Kent 3 weeks ago, Billy, you would say he's a piece of human garbage and a piece of human filth working for the Trump administration. All right. Just because he resigned and signed a letter, it's the thing. I mean, I can't prove it, but I got a strong intuitive feeling it's an op.
But to what end, though?
Pale and queer. What the?
I shouldn't laugh. I have humor. Forgive me for that one. To what end?
Yeah.
To foment anger to the American public towards Israel for the controlled noticing. That's my guess. And that's what I think is what's happening. Now, I'm not saying that, again, I'm not defending the government of Israel with that statement. Okay. But you're getting more and more disclosure about Israel and about how Bibi Netanyahu and Chabad Lubavitch, the ultra-Orthodox with Jared Kushner, right, have now, again, I'm not going to use Don's term, Zog, because that's a white nationalist term. I don't think Don knows that. I'm pretty sure he doesn't, but that's strictly a white nationalist term for, Zionist occupied government that everybody throws around now. Okay. But anyway, it comes from white nationalism. You can look it up yourself. But anyway, or at least it's propagation, should I say, first and foremost was propagated by white nationalism. But that's what I think is going on to the end that you asked, Billy. It's for that, for people to focus on Jerusalem, for people to focus on Bibi Netanyahu in Tel Aviv and the Israeli government, the power the Israeli government holds. But they're not the only power influencing our government, which you rightfully said on America Unplugged, which is Russia, among other governments. Right.
I didn't touch back on that, and I lost the point. But Don said that he disagreed with me when I said there were multiple countries that were occupying, our government. He said it's only Israel. There's also Russia. But let's go back to the why, right? To what end? I don't think they needed Kent to resign in order to have that happen. I thought it was I saw it. I know it's already happening. So what would Kent resigning?
It further brings it to boomers, because boomers are the holdout of this. Like our generation, majority of our generation is against the Israeli government, against Bibi Netanyahu. Further down from that, a majority of the Zoomers, even more than us, are, right? The boomers are the holdouts.
Yeah.
Okay. And you need constant refreshment with the boomers to get them to drop their cognitive biases again, because it's so built up and so strong over so many years of Zionist propaganda for this. It's not going to be a one and done thing, so you constantly have to have new ops run to break down those previous walls that were set back up. It's like a giant pendulum swing. Imagine when the boomers give up on Israel, right? Imagine, what's going to happen after that, right? So again, that's what it is.
I don't know. I don't think they needed to do that for it to happen. So they're sacrificing MAGA in order to get this done, because what this does is another chip in the armor of MAGA. I think MAGA is dead effectively as a movement. And that's not to say that in the next 2-3 years we're not going to go through hell with the piece of crap that's in the White House. And even if he passes, God bless, hope not. Not because I don't like the guy, you just don't want anybody to die. We're still going to go through some crap, even though after 2026, if things go as they're supposed to, it might limit some of this stuff. We're still going to go through crap. It's still going to be bad, like pretty bad, probably worse than it is right now. So I think we need to take these wins and use it, just like Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth, I mentioned earlier, he said what he said, right, about the war. And I'm like, look, we need to hold it against them. This is what he said.
Of course.
In order to combat the fifth generation warfare, we need to employ some of these tactics and turn them back against them. And be like, he said this is what he said, and we're using it. And
that's not fifth generational warfare. That's just holding them accountable. Fifth generation warfare is used most of the time to deceive.
Yes, but what I'm saying is more of the flood the zone strategy, even though we won't be flooding the zone. What I'm saying is we need to be relentless about
Yeah.
holding them accountable to these things and not letting it go. Same thing. So this guy stepped down from MAGA. That's a good thing, the way I look at it. Fine. It further discredits Donald Trump. It further discredits.
But is it
the
driving
MAGA
a greater
movement.
narrative that Trump's controlled by Israel, where that pendulum could swing back?
So they're sacrificing MAGA in order to get that, in your opinion? That's what you're saying. They're sacrificing MAGA in order to further the Israel theory that you have.
To prop Trump back up, yes.
I don't understand how this props Trump back up.
Because you're getting the rest when Trump eventually comes out against Israel. They're going to accept, even with all the stuff that he's done, they're going to accept him.
Who's going to accept? I mean,
Israel.
I think the people that are with him are with him.
Israel's going to. Again, does Bibi get killed and Trump returns as the king of Israel? Does he leave a destroyed America to return as the king of Israel? To save Israel? I'm just saying.
Hey, gentlemen.
Stop.
So this is awesome. I'm loving it. As you can see the comment, I think everyone's loving it that's coming. But you guys are my invited guests. How much time am I blessed to have you guys with?
About 15 more minutes, Wheezy.
Okay.
For me.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I didn't want to overstay the welcome. I don't know if that's the right.
Can I get your opinion on one last thing, both of y'all, on this statement?
I want to ask one last goddamn question. Goddamn it,
Let's
for both of y'all. But go ahead, John. Let's cover yours, and then I want to make sure I ask mine.
I'll make it quick. This is from Trump.
Do this at your own risk. You may never get to ask a question, Wheezy. I say you ask your question. This might take a while. Okay. I don't know. I'm just warning you. Go ahead.
This won't take a while. I'll keep it quick. Me and Wheezy are the same personality type. I'll keep it quick. Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. President Donald John Trump.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
He's a piece of crap, dude. What do you expect from this guy?
Yeah, but I have to agree with Trump on this, even though I hate the motherfucker, because people forget Rob Mueller was FBI director during what?
9/11.
9/11. So fuck Robert Mueller. So to hear Trump say this, I'm like, what the fuck? I don't want to be on your side, Trump, but I have to be on his fucking side. So that's my thoughts, John Brisson.
I just think that the office of the presidency, there needs to be some statementship there, and there is none. It's been degraded. Although
Standards and norms are gone. Standards and norms.
JFK was banging out dudes and chicks.
I'm not. Yeah, but there was a veil. There was
Reagan was banging kids with George W. Bush Sr. So what I mean, George Bush Sr.
I mentioned Jeff Gannon earlier. It's not that I'm not aware of this stuff. I'm just saying, when somebody dies, you don't do that. I think it further.
It's uncouth. Would you say it's uncouth?
It is uncouth.
Okay.
It is very uncouth.
Okay, here's my question before you guys bone out on me.
He was quick.
So Professor Zhang. Okay. Yeah, I want to get some thoughts. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna bullshit anyone. I started to gravitate him because out of nowhere he just popped into my YouTube algorithm and he was saying some shit that was rather pleasing to my ear cavities, my ear orifices. I was like, damn, this motherfucker's dropping some truth bombs. And then he started rising. I'm like, okay, what's this guy's background? You're telling me he's a high school teacher and he's going viral? Like, what the? Maybe there's more to this. And then, of course, Johnny Brisson was one of the first ones I heard say, you know what? Hold on. I know you like Professor Zhang's rhetoric at the moment, but I don't trust this guy. And to be honest, to be 100% honest, it's not like I fell in love with him. I just like some of the shit he was saying.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Right.
And then I think what did it for me finally was now that he's on Tucker Carlson, on Redacted, on Breaking Points, I'm like, all right. Fuck this shit. You're not going to get invited into these mega platforms if you are 100% on truth. When has James Corbett been invited on Tucker Carlson or fucking Breaking Points or any of these bullshit? So I'm like, nah, you know what? Fuck this guy. And I failed to see that. Now, I've been listening to some other podcasts where they've been exposing him, where his handlers feed him shit from the truth communities, and that's why it seems like he's got this big ass repository in his fucking head, when in reality he's not really that special. And so that may dash some people listening to this right now like, God damn, I've been following Professor Zhang. I'm just being honest. This show is called What is Truth. Again, I just admitted that I initially fell for his bullshit. Now, what are you guys' thoughts on Professor Zhang? Let's see. I know what John may think, so let's hear Billy.
If you're following this guy and you subscribe to what he has to say, I would reevaluate that, of course, but then reevaluate everybody else you're listening to in the alt media. Okay, I've heard this spiel before 8 million times. What this guy is saying, he's not saying anything new. In particular, he's ripping off David Icke, and David Icke ripped off other people. And this is regurgitated information. Yep. When you hear Sabatier and Frankist, you already know this isn't anything new. He's not being prophetic. There's nothing to it. He is a conspiracy normie that is regurgitating conspiracy normie tropes. And people are exposed to it because a couple of things that he said may have actually happened. A lot of people here in the alt media have said things that may have actually happened. That doesn't mean his overall conclusions are true. It doesn't mean that he's anything special.
He's got a lot wrong too, by the way.
What's up, buddy?
He's gotten a lot wrong.
Of course he's subscribing to David Icke, or at least he's getting information. I think he's getting it from David. That's the biggest source of information for that. You know, in particular, that phrase has been popularized by David Icke. Not that he came up with it, popularized. What's up, buddy?
Well, you know, have you guys heard of this guy that goes by Archaic on Twitter?
Yes.
No, I don't know.
Cheers.
Well, Archaic showed a clip where Professor Zhang word for word stole his fucking talking points, word for word. Like Archaic showed, I recorded this shit like 2 years ago. Boom, timestamp. And Professor Zhang is word for word repeating the exact same fucking talking points. Right. I'm like, God damn, this motherfucker is indeed a fraud that's just been fed. It's almost like AI, you know, he's just scraping all this bullshit, and maybe his handlers are doing it for him, and all he's doing is regurgitating it.
Well, that's the majority of what the alt media does. Yeah. You know, they and it's evidenced by Netanyahu being dead conspiracy theory. Mm-hmm. You know, because they take from other people and regurgitate and the same line has been given out by every alternative media pundit out there or personality. They give out the same thing over and over again. So that's what this guy's doing. That's why QAnon was evident to me, you know, because I had heard this before. I'd heard it before. So this is nothing new to me. And when I hear him talking, I know he's wrong, you know, because I've heard it 8 million times, you know. So yeah, we're going to be right about some things sometimes, even if you're wrong, generally, you know, but this guy is
what do you think, Billy? Like, do you think he's a psyop, or do you think he's just a grifter, or a combination of the two? What are your thoughts?
I don't know if he's a grifter. I haven't looked too far into it, to be honest with you. I looked at this guy. I heard a couple of the things he said. I'm like, I recognize this. I'm gone. You know, so that's pretty much what happened with me there. So I don't know if he's grifting. Is he charging people for shit? Maybe he is. You know, maybe at this point now that he's been elevated. What's up?
Donations. He's not charging anybody. He's taking donations. But okay. Yeah, I mean, still, nonetheless, I just want to put that out there. To my knowledge, that's what he's doing.
Right. So
he's blown up just kind of in a similar way, but different to Ian Carroll.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You and I, we talked about that.
Yeah. So
Go ahead,
John, what are your thoughts, John, on this whole Professor
a couple of
Professor John?
things.
You've actually done a series on your channel regarding
Yeah,
Professor
I need
John.
to I need to do more. So a lot of people are talking about archaics in the chat. Bashir's look, I understand that people can serve their time in prison and be they're given grace because they served their time, right? But Bashir's is unrepentant and still says the girl that brought the charges against him was lying. When I've read the court documents, I've read evidence on both sides. I don't think so. So much so that shout out to Rose 777 from Crow. After Crow had him on and she found out all this information, she later repented and rebuked Bashir's. So look, you guys are listening. You guys can go look that case up for yourself. The criminal case that that Bashir served time down there, I believe, Texas. But I don't trust him. I don't like him. I think he's a narcissist. That's my opinion of him. And I'll just leave it at that. Okay, so back to what you asked about Professor Zhang Zequin. Billy's 1000% right. He was borrowing from David Icke and Christopher John Bjerknes, and I know because of things that he was saying in terminology that he was using. The Sabbatean Frankists, especially the Sabbatean, a lot of people in the alternative media love to regurgitate that and parrot and parrot and parrot, but they don't know where it comes from. So it comes from he wrote a book called Opioid of the Masses. You had volume 1 and volume 2 of it. Gosh, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on his name. But he was part of the Sanhedrin. He was an ardent Zionist. He was for the Noahide laws. Antelbaum, Rabbi Antelbaum. So that's where David Icke got that information from, was Antelbaum, about Zabbatai Zevi and about Jakob Frank and the Zabbateans. That's where he got it from. All right. So the reason why that Antelbaum wrote those books was to say, okay, well, you have this Jewish sect and that's what they do. But the Sanhedrin that wants to influence the Noahide laws, they got taken over by that sect and they're too communist. They're not too extreme. Okay. Enough of how we truly are, but everybody parrots his work out of their mouths when they say Zabbatai Frank is this and Zabbatai Frank is that. They don't even realize that. All right. And I see that being parroted on X Spaces, the alternative media everywhere. All right. And it makes me laugh because I had to do the research myself. And once I did it and found out that's where it came from and what he stood for, what he was a part of, I was like, oh, this is hilarious. So I just want to put that out there. All right. But he was pushing Zabbatai Zevi information. He was pushing Theosophy. He was pushing World Future Society members, psychohistory, Isaac Asimov, who was a pedophile. His son, Isaac Asimov's son, was caught with what may have been the largest child pornography catalog and database in American history during the 1990s and got off scot-free. Okay. And so this is where we're at. He's regurgitating. And again, if we're going back to MBTI, Wheezy, what personality do you think that Zhang Zequin was? Which is why Billy immediately knew he was full of crap. I knew he was full of crap just because I saw him and watched his work and caught out. But if I did not, again, if I was more back on conspiracy and, not so hard on Theosophy, which I will be on hard on Theosophy to the day I die at this point. Which personality do you think that he was that got you first listening to him and thinking he's okay?
I would say he was, who's that crazy guy that runs like 1,000,000 miles a day? That bullshit personality.
No, he's an INFJ. Close. You were close. He's not an INFP. He's an INFJ. All right. And that's why they kept calling him Nostradamus because of his NI, his intuition of being able to read things and read events. That's why, because, dude, the comment section, I've never seen the comment section where people are like, oh, you have Zoomers like, oh, I'm sitting down and I'm listening to Professor J. Sequin and I'm getting knowledge that I never understood in school, and he's always right. I was getting bots on my comment section when I did my videos proclaiming him to be an oracle. It's ridiculous. All right.
He
Serious.
and that's why I admitted I didn't want to bullshit anyone. Oh yeah, I knew he was full of shit. I'm being honest with you. When I first heard him, I was like, damn man, some of this shit be hitting. Who is this guy? I may reach out to him. And then I started doing more homework on him. I'm like, yeah, I don't trust this motherfucker. As pleasing as some of his takes may be and appetizing, fuck that shit. And then the final nail in the coffin was when he was appearing on these massive platforms. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's just a word of caution, man. Like we are all susceptible to falling for bullshit. I just admitted that I fell for this bullshit.
We all do.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I'm not scared to admit when I'm wrong, you know, or when I fell for it. So I just want people to take that away. I wanna thank my boy John Brisson, who's a spiritual brother to me. That's my fucking dog right there, man. You guys may just know him from his appearances here and there. But I want the world to know that John is a genuine fucking good dude. And I fucking love that guy. Same thing with Billy. You guys may hear me and Billy disagree. Shit, we fucking have heated debates texting, you know, privately behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. And then we'll say, I fucking love you, bro. Like, this is what true friendship is, man. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to fucking agree with someone 100% of the time. At the end of the day, what works for me is how sincere is this person? How genuine is this person? And when I can feel that, when I can sense that, when I can see that, when I can realize that, that's when I'm fucking down, man. So I want to thank my boy Billy Ray Valentine, whom I was a fan of before I started my show, and we become homies that esteem each other. I may be speaking for him at that point.
Good, brother.
And I want to thank my boy John Brisson, man. For those that don't know, maybe you guys are new listeners, because luckily the fucking show keeps growing. I took a fucking month off and it fucking still kept growing. Like, I'm lucky, man. I'm fucking lucky. And for those new listeners, John Brisson and I, our first interactions, live interactions, was through a debate that we had on religion. And it got heated. It got heated. We were fucking throwing the kitchen sink at each other. And after that debate, something magical happened. We exchanged phone numbers. And ever since then, we only got closer and closer and closer. And John is truly one of the motherfuckers in this game that I trust. And I wanted to make that publicly. I told him this shit privately. He knows that. But I wanted everyone to fucking know that John is a fucking genuine fucking good dude. And I hope you guys follow him. You know what I mean? He's solid as fuck. And I'll fucking go to bat for him any fucking day. If anyone comes talking shit about my boy John, I got my boy John's back. I'm ready to go to war for my boy John. And I just wanted everyone to know that how much I appreciate you, John.
I appreciate that, Weezy, and I wanted to let you know, brother, that I love you, and you've been a very good friend to me and a brother as well too, and I can't state that enough. And you know, we go at each other like brothers do, but we always hug out afterwards, and I appreciate that. You know, we're both INTPs, and it takes a lot for someone of the same personality type to respect another person. But you know, we're both trying to grow together. We're both trying to do better and stuff like that and everything. And you know, I appreciate it, man. I love you, brother.
Oh yeah, bro. I love you. Like, fuck, man. Like, it's crazy. It's I can talk to you about anything, and I know you ain't gonna fucking hold it against me. I know you may not agree with certain actions or things I may do, but you ain't gonna judge me and put it out on blast. Like, that's what true friendship is all about. At the end of the day, feeling safe with someone. Safety is the key word right there. And I feel you may feel the same way with me, John. You know, I ain't gonna fucking judge you. I ain't gonna shit on you. You know what I mean? I'll disagree with you all
But
day
we
long
also hold
about
each
shit.
other accountable too, as well, too,
Yeah.
though, which is important. Which is
Fuck
important.
yeah, dude, 100%. So that may have gotten cheesy for some people, but I just wanted
I
everyone to
appreciate
know
it.
about that.
I do.
Hell yeah.
I appreciate it, Weezy.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Billy. Thank you, John. I'm gonna say a few words to my followers, man, because they've been awesome as well. But I want to thank you guys so much.
Love you, brothers. I'll see you later.
Oh, all right, man.
Peace.
Later, guys. Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me, brother. It was a good conversation. We will talk after this, most likely. Everybody be good.
Absolutely. All right. Yo.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was a fire ass show. I never prepare anything beforehand. I don't have anything prepared right now, but I just want to speak to you from my soul, from my heart, and turned out fire. I think you guys really, really enjoyed that. And when I asked Billy to come on, I asked him specifically because he does view things very different from me and even Sean. And when you want truth, you need a bunch of perspectives. You need to filter out this and that. I kind of vibe with this. And shit, even hearing perspectives that you disagree with may only embolden your case or strengthen your case. So I always love hearing different perspectives, things that I disagree with, because maybe I could be wrong. You know what I mean? I'm constantly wondering how many of the things that I believe in currently are actually true, and how many things are wrong. And that's what I'm doing. Marion G of G's is still in the chat. George O'Brien still in the chat. Longtime followers. And I'm not even going to call them followers. Friends. People that have been there for me for years. Maybe have not always agreed with me on certain things, but have always been there. Anyone that tuned in last week, that was the first show that I had done in a long time. And I thought I was ready, and I ended up being a bitch. I almost thought about deleting it, you know what I mean? But I just poured my heart out, you know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, I think the reason people enjoy the show is because I am as real as I can be. I do pour my heart out. And in hindsight, as cheesy as it may have felt for me, that's me, and that's what you guys have come to gravitate. And so, man, I just left it up. But I did receive emails, I did receive comments, different messages, you know, all over on all the platforms, and words of encouragement, words of keeping my head up. And I saw every single one of them. I may not have replied to every single one of them, but I saw them, and I genuinely want to thank every one of y'all. The other thing is, what was it? Well, I guess before here's George O'Brien. George, let's see. He says, we're friends, Weezy. We may not meet each other, but I consider you a friend. Fuck yeah, George. I already told you, bro. One of these days I'm going to go to the UK and we're going to have a fucking brew. Yeah. Yeah, life is full of ups and downs, man. And I didn't try to be emotional last week, but I couldn't help it. I was trying to keep it together, but I couldn't. You know what I'm saying? I've done tons of reflection over the last several weeks. You could argue months. And I suppose one of the things that I finally, and I want to address this, if you belong to the Facebook group and you are no longer part of the Facebook group, I did not personally ban you or whatever. I deleted the group. So don't take it personal. I just deleted the group. I had that Facebook group for many years. It was super active during the Sean Atwood days. A lot of people were active. We grew it to a couple of hundred people. You know what I mean? And to delete a Facebook group, you have to go one by one deleting people. Boom, 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 boom. That's the only way. It's not like one button delete a group. You have to get rid of everyone in there. And I deleted it because I suppose I could talk about it now. Throughout the years, I kind of mentioned it last week, but it became too much of a distraction. You know what I'm saying? There's my time can be spent elsewhere, better spent elsewhere, with people that I love, people that are real. You know what I'm saying? So I think I just wanted to clear that up. It was nothing personal against anyone. It was taking too much of my time. And I've made tons of changes to my personal life. I talked about Kaizen last week, and I've been doing my own Kaizen. I talked about how first thing I do when I wake up is do my fucking bed. The other thing that I'm learning to do is not checking my fucking phone. I got it. I think a lot of people do this, but when you wake up, the first thing you do, you grab for your fucking phone. You start scrolling, you start seeing all this bullshit. All these kids got killed in Palestine. Israel's doing this and all this shit. It just overwhelms you with nonsense. And I had all these platforms, and I was getting notifications for this and that and that and that and that. And that. I still have the Telegram group. I haven't decided whether I'm going to delete it or not. I may keep it up, but I'm not going to be active in it. I have the awesome Ashley. I have the awesome Lily being admins there to make sure robots aren't posting any bullshit in there. But I'm not going to be too occupied in any of those other platforms, not because I'm down and out. So don't get it twisted. It's just because I don't want to fuck with social media anymore. I want to concentrate on what's dear to me. You know what I'm saying? I want to work on that. I want to become a better human being overall. And so that's the only reason. It's nothing personal. I'm okay. I know a lot of people reached out, and I am truly grateful for that. I'm okay. And this is why I'm talking a few minutes after the show. People were worried, and I didn't want people worrying. I'm good. I'm okay. Life has its ups and downs, and sometimes it's going to suck. And when the sucky moments ease out and they start fading away, you got to soak in the good moments. You got to enjoy it. You got to bask in the ambiance of the goodness, because those bad moments will come again, unfortunately. That's just life. And like Nietzsche says, man, when you can reach a stage in life where you can willingly accept the good, the bad, and ugly in life, you have now reached the level called amor fati. Amor fati translates into love of fate. Love of fate. Amor fati doesn't mean you only love life when life is good, when you are on cloud 9. It means loving when you are fucking down in the gutter, which is where I had been for many weeks, many months. And even with a bitch ass voice last week, I said I'm gonna be a better person, and I strive to be a better person. I'm gonna achieve that. And so life is a fucking roller coaster, like Rocky just said. And so you gotta appreciate every moment, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Even when shit is bad, even when everything is fucking coming at you, you gotta say, at least I'm still breathing. At least I'm still alive. How beautiful is it? Even though my world is crashing down all around me, I'm still alive. I'm still alive. I'm enjoying life in the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's how we got to look at it. That's how I look at it. You don't have to look at it the way I do. That's the way I'm looking at it now. So life can throw anything at me, and I'm going to accept it. I'm going to love it. I'm going to learn from it. And so that's the only thing I can tell y'all. So with that being said, I want to thank everyone that made it out. You guys are fucking awesome. I truly appreciate you, each and one of y'all. And I just wanted to give an update on me not being as present on social media as I had been. I'm just going to focus on myself. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, y'all. Much love, hugs, and kisses to all.